Okay. I don't have a gavel. Can I get any motions?
Motion to start meeting.
Can I get a second? Second. All right. All in favor of starting? Wait, do we do that? Wow, it has been so long, guys. All right. The meeting has now started. We are streaming. Well, this is where I used to run meetings from. It feels very weird. Welcome to Senate Meeting 17. Kobe is out with COVID, so if you talk to Kobe, go get tested. And then our normal order of progression is not valid for today. Therefore, I'm doing it, which I didn't think I'd have to do again. So I will be chairing this meeting. Hopefully nothing crazy happens and forces me to remember my Parley Pro stuff in detail. I remember the gist. We're good to go. So we are streaming. We're going to go ahead. We did call to order. We're going to do roll call. Let me scroll over here so I can see. Brianna Soldatelli, I'm here. Kobe is absent. Elena. Here. Kaya.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Ala.
Here.
Elisa.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Sophie.
Here.
Zihi.
Here.
Aisha.
She's coming. I think she went to Krieger. Also, I don't think Elisa's here. Where is she?
Elisa, which Elisa?
Elisa, we go in order here. I was like, that did not sound like the right Elisa. That's okay. Would you mind texting Elisa? And then when Aisha gets here, she'll get here. We knew someone would do that. Harvey is not here. Davide, sorry. Ireland.
Here.
Jenny.
Here.
Mufasa.
Here.
Rachel.
Here.
Shalala.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
Dalhart.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Nasreen.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Elisa.
Here.
Amy.
Here.
Olukemi.
Here.
Priya. Sean.
Here.
Shruti.
Here.
Awesome. I know I realized halfway through I should have been saying senator last name, so sorry for the informality, guys. All right, that concludes our roll call. We don't have any convening business today, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing. Moving on to amendment and approval of the agendas. I believe we have an addition to the agenda.
Motion to add the Hopkins Got Talent presentation and first reading of the funding bill to the first reading section of the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, this one I know we have to vote for. All those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Alrighty, that has been added to the agenda.
Point of information?
Yes.
Where's our advisor?
Technically, they don't have to be here to be the meeting. That would be perfect timing. Dang, really thought that was the advisor. I have no idea. We met on Monday, and I have not heard from them since.
Is Harvey here?
No, Harvey's not here. Harvey's upstairs, I believe.
Oh, right. Hold on.
We have a motion on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Motion to remove the future Unite funding because it was tabled last meeting. I think it's still here.
Oh. I think it was tabled until this meeting.
Yeah.
That was tabled.
So you would like to remove Meet the Future movie night funding from second reading?
Yeah.
Okay, any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of removing this from the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstained? All right, that would be eliminated. I have to eliminate that. Give me 1 second. Oop, I have so much power, guys. Oh, 1 sec. We have to do technical difficulties. This will be projected up here. Anyways, do we have any other additions or amendments to the agenda?
No, but point of information,
Yes.
Freya will be here shortly.
Thank you. All right, can I have somebody motion to approve the agenda if we're okay with how it is?
Motion approved the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda as it stands, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Bang. Okay, I don't have a gavel, sorry. That moves on. I was using my phone. No, I'm okay. Beautiful. We're going to move on to public input, and it looks like we actually have a whole 3 members of the public today, which is very exciting. So for public input, if you guys are here to speak on a particular bill that's on the agenda, this is not your time. You have special time for that. But if you have something random that you want to say, you want to have all of the Senate, please let me know. You guys do not have to follow parliamentary procedure. I will point you in the right direction. Anybody? Yes? No? Okay. Moving on. That concludes the public input session. Or does it? No? For public input? Okay. Moving on to reports, starting with executive branch reports. We're going to start with me, the student body president. So we had a fun little exec meeting on Monday, except for it wasn't just an exec meeting, it was also a meeting to plan for the Board of Trustees. So we talked to Maureen, and we talked to Rachel, and we talked to Lee, who are all upper admin, and I should probably be calling them by their titles, but today is just the first name day apparently. And we talked about the presentation for Board of Trustees. So far, the format of how we're bringing stuff to Board of Trustees is we're going to talk a bit about finances, a bit about student orgs, and then focus on how we are shifting from COVID to post-COVID mentality. And for example, how we're having more student events, things that students care about, etc. The committee that we're meeting with from the Board of Trustees is the Student Life Committee. If you guys have anything super pressing where you're like, I think the Board of Trustees needs to know about that, please let us know. We are having a meeting Friday, 10 a.m. with Calvin to go over, start drafting our presentation. For the actual meeting of the Board of Trustees, it is on March 3rd, which is a Thursday. 2 exec members will be staying here. 2 exec members will be meeting with them in New York. Very fun, very slay. So yeah, that concludes Board of Trustees. Outside of Board of Trustees, we have had some internal reorganization, rearrangement stuff, which you guys will hear more about. People will be filling vacancies on their councils. If you are having any issues with SGA, if you're not happy with stuff, please let us know. I'm aware of some stuff that people have told me. We're working on it, we're talking, but if there's any stuff you have not shared with me, and you're like, I really want to, I'm here to listen. I can stay after for a little bit if anyone is interested. I had one more report, but I can't remember what it is, so I'm going to move on, and maybe Elena will say it. The Vice President isn't here. Elena, it is your turn.
I'm going to be focusing a lot on updating everything now that we are shifting in members, and hopefully also getting some new members soon.
Sorry.
Go.
No, it's okay. Kai's going to say it probably. Treasurer updates.
So we met this Sunday. We changed our meeting times from Monday to Sunday on Zoom. And we looked over the reconsideration form. Yeah, we looked over the reconsideration forms for clubs that asked for semester funding, made the adjustments required. Looking into Dalhart, making that bill for the 360 machine. And we're down 2 members, so when we get up 2 members, I'll be happy.
Okay, the update that I thought you were going to say was the iClickers are here!
The iClickers are here!
They're not ready. We're
Not ready.
Elena's going to do all the tech stuff to get them set up by hopefully next meeting. And this is our new permanent meeting space for the rest of the year.
Oh.
It has outlets and functioning Wi-Fi, but it is a little bit far from campus. Shuttles work. We meet after 7. The road goes right behind, so if you need to shuttle from your dorm, just plan accordingly.
Also, if you could maybe not enter the room until 6:50 unless you need to.
There is a
that'd be
class
great.
in here that goes until 6:50. Or pilot, sorry, that goes until 6:50. Alrighty, so moving on to the Director of Social Affairs. Where are you?
Hello.
There you go.
Alright, so updates. I finally got Canva Pro access. So I'll start working on creating informative and engaging content, such as like the meeting times of like SGA and like class council. And I'm also thinking of maybe advertising like free services that students can access with their school email, like the New York Times News and the Wall Street Journal. If you have any ideas for content, just please reach out to me. I'm also start preparing marketing materials for SGA elections. I reached out to CSC and they told me they would be confirming the exact logistics with Calvin. And I also invited them to come to SGA meeting once the information is confirmed so everyone's on the same page. And I'm slowly making website updates and we'll discuss it with CMC later this week.
An update on elections because we're getting some dates. Calvin will be putting the majority of the actual like printing out banners and stuff since the elections will most likely coincide with the rest of the elections. That means elections occur in March. We have a month of transition and then inauguration is in April. So elections are going to occur around spring break time. So keep that in your brain. All right, moving on to class council reports. Could somebody from the senior class please do their reports? Go ahead, Lisa.
We are going to meet on Sundays at 6 p.m. I think we have a senior formal plan that's tentatively up for debate now. We do have a couple of things in the works as far as senior week. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas as far as like things we can do maybe like on a smaller scale per se, like that we can do to maintain our presence to the senior council over the semester. We would really appreciate it.
Do you guys maybe have an event next Wednesday? That might be at the ice rink?
The ice skating thing. Yeah.
The 99 days till graduation
99 days,
celebration. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Okay, that concludes senior reports. Moving on to junior, someone from junior class council. Somebody, anybody?
Okay, I guess it's me. So we're still talking about, we're planning our junior formal for the spring. We're still looking at venues and hoping to get in contact with Rebecca to smooth everything out. We are also planning a smaller scale event, hopefully in March for the junior class. And that's all our updates.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on to sophomores.
Our art showcase, our multimedia art showcase just ended, so we'll be moving on to the next stage with that. Our vacancy application, our senatorial application ends on Friday, the 10th, I believe, and so we'll be processing those then, and then hopefully presenting a nomination the coming Tuesday, so that'll be 2 weeks from the date of our notification. Garden party, we're waiting to send out a contract. I don't think we've been able to get in touch with either of our advisors in the past few days, so we're potentially at risk of having the contract canceled if it's not sent in by the school. But I mean, we'll just call it again. That's more or less it. Yes.
All right. And then freshmen.
Good evening, everyone. For the freshman class, regarding legislations, we have a meeting coming up with the dean regarding making iClicker and other course materials free for the students. As for the events,
Point of information.
yes,
Which dean?
Should be the dean of Alison, I believe. Actually, no, not her. The hospital. Yeah. And regarding the events, we're planning our spring formal, which is a masquerade. We have submitted all the budget requests last meeting, so we're on a good track. Looking forward.
And if you guys have any questions about what you need for a formal, all of the years above you have done it, so feel free to ask, and that way you won't have to get a photographer last minute. Not that happened, and not that I was the photographer, but. Anyway, moving on to committee reports, academic affairs. That's you.
So for academic affairs, I grabbed when to meet. Looks like, unfortunately, Fridays are the most popular time for everyone. But besides that, we met with the deans last Tuesday and talked mostly about the issues that go on with registration and how like humanities majors really have no chance, according to them, in the pre-med classes. And yeah, so we just kind of talked about like opening seats up in classes and just sort of working on establishing a more regular meeting time with the dean and having some sort of suggestion box or like, a Google form or something that is accessible for students if they have any academic affair concerns that we can bring up in a timely fashion to deans.
Alrighty, and then somebody from civic engagement. Somebody, anybody?
All right, sure. We did. We were supposed to have a meeting today, but we did due to Harvey's illness. I'm not sure what happened, but I know we were planning like a snowflake drive or something like that. So that's in the works, and also we're planning some kind of like a drive with food, also with with one of the city's organizations. So, yeah.
Point of information, what is a snowflake drive?
It's like it's like a toy drive basically, but it's a pretty name.
I like that. Health, safety, and sustainability.
We talked over logistics from a meeting with the rest of the Sustainability Coalition about the future New Degree funding bill. And we also talked about possible events throughout the semester, including Sex Week with Sorrow, events with home and recycling, events with WINGS, and possible module to be added to my learning concerning sustainability. Also, public safety event.
Wow, look
Lots
at
of
you
events.
guys. Oh my goodness, good for you. Okay, moving on to anyone from IA.
Yeah. So we met and we discussed some internal affairs agenda stuff, and we're planning to elect a new chair pretty soon.
Okay, sounds good. Beautiful, student orgs.
I didn't really meet with Calvin. I ran into Calvin and we talked for like 45 minutes. But we talked a lot about what we're going to do in the next semester, and so I actually started compiling a list to start filling start advertising the Senate seats for next year, because we do have those seats from each category of student organizations. So I made a list and an email template for all of the largest student boards in each category, and so we're going to send CSO people to every GBM of those largest student orgs to just kind of advertise what the structure of SGA will be next year, so that we can hopefully get more interest to fill the increasing number of seats in the future. And I also have been talking to Charles about possibly changing the RSO re-registration document, as well as possibly opening it to be allowed in the spring as well.
Hey, Dalhart.
Okay, sounds good. You covered a lot of time. Student services.
Okay, so we will be meeting at 8 p.m. in Brody Cafe in person on Wednesdays from now on, so just so if anybody's on the committee, so they know that. Yesterday I met with the Faculty Senate Committee for Whiting on technology and education and discussed the results of a survey that I ran on behalf of the committee. The results are really interesting, and I'll try to present on them at a future meeting, but until that time, I've uploaded a PowerPoint summary of them to the teams.
All right, and I just want to remind everyone that event reports are still a thing. So if you have an event, make sure you come to SGA and talk about it. Moving on to caucus reports. PETA caucus, anyone from a PETA since Kobe's not here?
There's nothing new for PETA caucus.
Sounds good. Black caucus?
So we're currently planning a tabling for the Black Caucus, hopefully near the end of February or early March, and we're just currently getting that up and running.
All right, sounds good. Disability caucus, anyone?
Yep, so yesterday I met with Kathy Ox about possible disability studies minor. She was in favor of the idea, and we actually figured out a relatively possible game plan for doing that, where it would possibly be housed under BME in the Whiting school, and then under public health in the KSF school, and would have a range of different courses modeled on curriculums that Georgetown and a few other schools have, and would kind of allow students the freedom to choose a number of courses, have one central course, and then have an experiential learning course where they go into the community and interact with disability.
That sounds very interesting.
Good information. Awesome. So continuing that, Harvey wanted me to give the update that Elena, Harvey, and I had given feedback on SCS draft for the faculty training on disability. We got that back. Our feedback was incorporated, so yeah.
All right, and also talking on that really quickly, and then we'll go to you. I can't remember if I said this at the last meeting, but we had a meeting executive with the Student Health and Wellbeing group, which included Kathy Axe, Jackie Stone, the Kevin Schollenberger, the heads of, oh my God, sorry, the head of the Student Health and Wellness Center for here and the East Baltimore campus. It was a very productive meeting, and they really want to work with you guys more. So that also brought us to topics about an admin networking dinner, and we talked a lot about disability stuff, and they want to connect with the Disability Caucus more, people who you have not worked with previously. So they're interested, and admin networking dinner is a thing that might happen. Moving on to the Fly Caucus. No, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know what the procedural thing to say is when I just want to add something to whatever he said was.
Just go ahead.
Okay. I talked to my ASL professor, and he said that he does not want ASL to be under disability minor, but if you would like to talk to him, he's glad to talk to you about anything like that. Or
Sure.
Yeah. I can just contact him.
Sure, Matthew Sampson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned him to Kathy Axe because I thought he'd be a good idea, a good person to speak to about.
Yeah, for sure.
The process.
Okay.
He's totally open to it.
Do you have anything about no?
Oh, did you ask? Am I allowed to ask a question?
Typically, non-Senate members can't speak during actual Senate proceedings, but if you want to...
Motion to address the Senate.
But if we wanted to do a motion to address the Senate... Go ahead.
I would like to yield my motion to Omar.
All right. Wait, you said the disability minor was going to be under PME, and then for engineering students, and then for under the public health department? Does that mean the BME department,
No, you wouldn't be restricted.
Okay.
So the idea would be that BME already has a number of interesting classes like rehabilitation engineering, which directly works on essentially something that causes a loss of an ability. This is probably best held in an update or something. I don't want to waste everybody's time, but I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Okay.
Point of order, in the fall,
Go ahead.
In the fall, we passed an amendment that allows non-assembly members to speak with the chair's at the chair's discretion.
I think we did that because technically the advisors weren't Senate members and they need to talk. Yeah, I knew there was something like that. I just couldn't remember the procedure because I haven't done this in a while. Okay, moving on to the Hispanic Latinx Caucus.
So updates that we have is that I just held one of the first meetings that we had for the semester, and just quickly going over a lot of any SAC guidelines or anything that they might have been interested in, or like for their clubs. I'm kind of stuttering right now and forgetting what else we had talked about. Let's see. Talking about just expanding more. We were talking about interest for SGA for the coming year, since there was going to be a lot of expansion efforts. So also reaching out to them, seeing if they were showing interest in it as well, and explaining what it's just going to look like next semester and what I can either do for them or what we can do as SGA for them in the future.
Okay, and Flag Caucus?
Just want to quickly mention that our Fly Advisory Board applications are open, so if anyone is a Fly student, please be encouraged or ask me after the meeting for the application if you guys are interested in that.
And just adding on to that, the Hopkins Library's archives are looking for first-generation low-income students to tell their stories in order to be entered into the archives, preferably people who are graduating in the year of 2023. So if Fly Caucus knows anyone like that, maybe you, feel free to talk to them. Moving into WGMC, go ahead.
Nothing to report.
Okay, and then our advisors are not here, so skipping that. Non-legislative business. The 23 recommendations for the, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. The one that's on the agenda.
Yes.
And let me pull that up real quick.
It's on the side. I
know,
yeah,
I clicked the wrong button. It's this
it's
one.
already there.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Okay, yield the floor, you're good.
Thanks. All right, hello. So last week I had briefly mentioned that I was interested in presenting a set of recommended actions for the executive branch for the spring of 2023. It's meant more so as a supportive gesture, just to help set some of the timelines as we're closing in, maybe 2 months before elections, something like that. So these are mostly just not that large scale of actions, but maybe a month to 1.5. The goal, of course, like I mentioned, completing them before the spring 2023 elections, and the transition to the next administration. Of course, all of these are flexible. That's why we're open to discussing it here. And like we've heard in updates, many of these are already in progress, which is wonderful. The intent of the list is really just to solidify timelines for each one, just to make sure, we have a bit of a schedule, and then just weekly updates. So very standard. This list has been shared with the executive branch before this meeting, and I've had the opportunity to meet with any members that have expressed an interest in doing so. So again, this is just a supportive thing, just bringing some stuff up for discussion, stuff like that. We can go down it, I guess. Most of these are related to some things that just need to get done, constitutionally, or transparency measures. So you see the first three are the judiciary, parliamentarian, and PRDC appointments. The judiciary, of course, is well on its way, probably almost there. But of course, as we'll get more updates on that in the coming weeks. Parliamentarian and PRDC, I think in one sense, it's about kicking us off this semester with these. I know these are we could start them next semester, but the point of this is really to prep the next administration while we have the experience and the expertise of our members here, and we have a full assembly. So we can start pulling those together, and that way, as we're kicking off the next administration with a reduced assembly size, we'll have somewhere to start. And especially with PRDC, that'll help with our decision on the director of Research, I believe, who will be joining us next year. The next two are with the CSE reconnection. Of course, we heard an update on that, so that's great. It sounds like CSE is working with Calvin well on its way, So that's good. The other is reconnecting with the newsletter. I know we had briefly discussed some things, and we wanted to make sure that we were meeting some of the transparency goals that they had mentioned. Just to make sure that we're going into ending this administration strong with that. The next four are directly transparency related. We have the guiding documents and legislation. It's really just about making sure those are accessible both to us and to the student body for those interested in, tracking that. It's good stuff to have. Plus, we can make sure that everything's in order and updated for the coming year. Same with resolutions, just making sure that everything has been sent out, signed, logged, material like that. Financial information. I don't know if we've done this before, but it may be helpful to compile a general list, not too specific, but something that we can present to the student body to help them understand where our finances are going, how it's distributed between clubs and Senate, maybe even class councils if that's something we want to add, just to help people get a sense for what we're up to on that end. And the last one, just bringing all this into the website, making it accessible. We could put it on the Instagram, but the website tends to be a better catalog place for information. And that's it. So these are mostly, and of course, any of the recommended representatives listed on the rightmost column, those are just recommendations. So of course, Brianna, you're welcome to delegate as you see is appropriate. But that's all I had. It's just this, yeah.
All right, do we have any motions? Jackson?
Motion for a 10-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times.
All right, can I get a second?
Or moderated caucus, actually.
10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times?
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of entering a 10-minute moderated caucus, 1 minute speaking times, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We're now in a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times. Give me 1 second to pull my timer up. Also, my lungs aren't working right now, so just ignore that. All right, Jackson, you have the floor. I'm going to attempt to keep a list. Give me 1 second. Just try to catch my eye if you want to. Yeah, Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think for the first thing, I would say that we should emphasize we need to have complete website updates. When I reached out to schedule a meeting with the Board of Trustees before, one of the reasons I was rebuffed is that we don't have an updated website, so we can't really ask them to update their website with what they've done from 2019 to 2023, which according to their website is nothing. So I would say that in order to counter that argument and also a means of transparency, I would like to especially emphasize that we should do that ahead of the proposed Board of Trustees meeting. I yield the rest of my time.
Brian, if you have a response, if you don't, we can just keep going on.
Wait, when is the Board
March
of
3rd.
Trustees? March 3rd. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that brings it over to my time. So the website. We built the website on Campus Groups, and by we, I mean I have no website building experience. It was bad, but it worked. And then when Elena came in, we had switched from Docs to Teams. And Elena has spent the last semester trying to find a way to integrate our Teams documents to update with the website. And it just does not work no matter how many expansions or plugins or whatever we add. So Elena's been working very hard on that and has officially given up on that stream of thought. And we'll be updating the website by transferring things into Docs.
Too.
Huh?
Milton too.
And Milton too, of course. And then, as Ryan said, a lot of the stuff that's on here is already happening. Judiciary interviews will be coming up this week because the application closed last week. And the rest of it is just stuff that's in the works, and you guys will get updates when it's all done. And that is my time. Does anybody else want to be Jackson? Go ahead.
I just want to make sure, is there a goal to get that done before the Board of Trustees meeting?
You
so it
should
can be brought
yield
to
your
them.
time to the person who can answer that.
I yield my time to Elena.
I mean, in general, we want to get it done as fast as possible, so yes.
We'll try to get that before that.
Got it.
Like before the end of the month.
Elena?
My biggest concern here is the newsletter reconnection, just because it's not something that we can take care of internally. Maybe if we want to have like another one-on-one meeting, like discussing possible options, like I think we can all agree that the kind of weekly, sometimes even a different person every week format isn't the best for generating interest, especially because not all of our meetings do have interesting things. But I think that we can work out some sort of format that would be best for both your readers and for our transparency.
All right, with nobody else wanting to, Ryan, go ahead.
So just add one more thing. I think
Yep, wait, one sec. My time. I shut off my timer.
It's okay. I'll be quick. Okay. I think one of the most helpful things would be if we could like set up like a timeline, like a presentation of the timelines this coming GBM, just like so we have specific dates on when like these things can be broken down, and then just like updates accompanying them. I think that would be really helpful.
Could you use your time to me?
Yeah, sure.
So for the things that are entirely internal, like the goal of getting it done before the end of the month, that sounds like a good plan, and I would agree to that. However, for stuff that is dependent on other people, I'm hesitant to present a timeline like for judiciary interviews because I don't know candidate availability, and I don't want to give you like a super wide time frame because then it's not actually helpful, and you know, but I also can't be super specific. And same with newsletter and CSE. I know we've had trouble getting in contact with CSE. Calvin just finally got a meeting with them on the books. So we can give you updates when they happen, and they will be done definitely by like elections for CSE, but I don't think I can give a more sustained timeline, and both of our time is up now. Okay, Mufasa, give me 1 second, I keep shutting off my timer.
Motion to end moderated caucus.
Oh, slay. Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of ending the moderated caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstain? Moderated caucus is now over. That also concludes non-legislative business. Thank you for your presentation, President Cho. Moving on to first reading, we have 3. One is a duplicate. Oh wait, no, that's not. I was like, those look very similar. We have 4 first readings. The first one is the SGA Accessibility Standards Bill. And those who are presenting, please make your way to the front. Oh goodness, so sorry. Okay, beautiful. All right, you have the floor.
Okay, cool. So Elena and I have been working on this bill for a few months. It started with a dissatisfaction of how SGA necessarily treats our accommodations. We claim to be a body that represents all undergraduate students, but our legislation is not accessible and our events are not always accessible. So we started to put regulations in place with this. So some stats that are interesting, 9% of Homewood students are registered with SDS, but let's see, where's the other stat? Some metrics show that almost 20% of undergraduate students report having a disability, which is why it's very important to have accessibility standards in place as SGA. So, yeah. That's the bill, first reading.
Do you want to go over a little bit of what each part is?
Sure. So first part is, okay, virtual content, okay. So virtual content standards, this is based on the standards by the WGAC, which sets like guidelines of what fonts, what font size, what contrast and whatnot is accessible for all readers. So that's just changing how we format our legislation.
Okay, we're on to the purposes section, unless you want me to scroll up more.
Okay.
Well, virtual content was after that, so I'm just slow. Never mind.
Okay, so event standards. So first of all, we're going to make sure that the events are in physically accessible locations. So events must be planned in an inclusive way, so having a schedule in advance, location and all that. Allowing pauses for processing, printed copies, live transcription and or ASL interpretation, which is kind of a big one. adequate lighting, and then accommodation requests. So this would allow for accommodation requests to be made for any SGA event, policy, or procedure. Those will be going through. So you can contact the vice president, and then. No. Okay, so you request through the SGA advisor, which will work with SDS, but what? Did we figure out the second part about whether or not?
We talked
The
to Kyle about it.
advisors will be forwarding whatever pertinent information there is to SGA members as needed. So it will not disclose what a student's disability is, only what accommodations are needed if the person needs to know.
And yeah.
And then we're on the closing part. Okay. Done with the presentation? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any motions on the floor? For example, like a moderated caucus or Q&A? Not that I would like either of those. Would somebody like to motion for something?
I motion for a 5-minute Q&A. Second.
Okay, I got a second. All those in favor of moving into a 5-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Gavel. We're now at a 5-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times. You're first on the list. I'm second on the list. Well, 1 second. Now I have to hear the real list. Now everyone wants to talk. Okay. I saw Ryan and then Dollar. Okay, and that means I have to have my timer. Oh my goodness. I don't miss doing this, guys. 30 seconds coming up. All right. Elisa, you are good to go.
Yeah, so when you say that you want like things to be announced, like a schedule ahead of time, how much we advertise our events like at least with a week in advance. Like how can we improve that?
You yield your time for answer. Go
I
ahead.
yield my time to you.
It would be more releasing like a detailed itinerary of what the event would look like. So if an event is divided into multiple sections, you would say what those sections are, about how much time would be allocated to both, just so that people can prepare for what they might need.
That also includes menus and stuff. I think there's a list of the details in there. So if you have all that published a week in advance, you're killing it. Alrighty, and then next on the list is me, which mine wasn't really a question, but that's okay. So I just wanted to say I think this is very good because we have a disability caucus. We represent a lot of disabled students. We're doing really good work, but inter-SGA, our accommodations aren't great. I know when we had the retreat, there was mandated public speaking for people, which their accommodations in school don't even let them do that, and it caused issues. So stuff like that, we got to practice what we preach. It's not fair, otherwise we don't make good representatives. And I think everything here is just like the bare minimum standards we have to be accessible to all students. And that was my time. Wow, 30 seconds. Okay. I need to write up the names. Ryan, go ahead.
Just a brief question. So regarding the part that says a text does require no higher than a lower secondary education or a compliant alternative. My assumption is that means it's more so regarding the spirit of the text. I wasn't sure if there was like a plan to enforce that, or if it was more of a keep this in mind while you're writing type of concept.
Yield your time?
Yes.
Okay.
There's the Flesch Kincaid reading level that can be automatically calculated by online services and Microsoft Word that will tell you about what reading level something is. It's mostly achieved by fewer syllables in words and fewer words in sentences. So it's less about the spirit and more about how it is written.
So for example, if you have a resolution, you can literally copy paste it into, if you just Google readability.
There's a link in the thing.
There's also a link in there, even better. You can just copy paste it and it'll give you a readability scale, and the ones I have used have given you tips on how to simplify it or make it fancier, whichever way you need. Alrighty, next on the list is Dahlhart. Your time starts now.
I'd say I think a lot of this list is really good. I was just curious if there's going to be any addition for repercussion if these standards aren't met. I will yield back.
I mean, technically we have the process of disciplinary marks even though they're not necessarily used, but those could be used here.
And if not, and somebody is purposefully not being accommodating to people in SGA, that technically constitutes a hostile work environment, which is an impeachable offense.
Yes.
And if somebody else is up for impeachment for another thing, this can be a factor that's counted towards that. That's my best answer. And you are out of time, but I can add you back if you have another question. I know it's probably really not. I'm just following the timer. All right, Shalala.
So what does, I'm reading the list, so what does adequate and diverse seating mean? And it's like, for events that would be like probably all standing, like a dancer event, like would that need to be included? Like what would that apply to?
Yield your time?
Yes, I do.
And point of information, which section are you talking about?
I think it's section 5 to the second part. In D, no, E, 2E, I think.
2D?
2E.
2E. Let me a second to scroll. Providing adequate and diverse seating for all attendees. That one?
Yes.
You guys can answer that.
Yeah, so there should generally be chairs if possible, but if not, even just ground seating. I mean, there are disorders where standing for too long can be harmful, so having no seating is a problem, and there are also disorders where sitting on the ground or sitting in certain chairs can cause pain. So that's what it means by diverse seating.
Can I also ask?
Yes, you have 10 seconds.
So like, what kind of, is there like information on what kind of chairs that would be that would harm someone? I use my chair.
Any chair that you would find mildly uncomfortable could likely be very painful to someone else.
Okay.
Your time is up, but I have more points on that. But they're not important, so I'll talk to you about it after. All right, Belhar, back to you for the part 2.
Oh, I was just gonna suggest that maybe adding like something so that people like make sure these things are met. If these are gonna be passed as expectations, like disciplinary marks will be given if these aren't met by events of like SGA. I feel like that'd be a good addition to not just like have it in there but say like what's gonna happen if you don't follow.
Okay, since this is for first reading, that can be something that's added for second reading. All right, do we have anybody else who would like to be added for Q&A? We get, with chair approval, you may talk.
All right, who's going to be like dictating like if something is, like if it's accommodating enough? Like is there like a certain group that's determining that?
So typically it would be like the advisors who have to approve events if they see an event that isn't going to meet accessibility standards, or like, for example, we have an event coming up on Wednesday, and if we hadn't published information about it well in advance, that wouldn't be meeting these guidelines. These guidelines aren't just SGA specific, these are kind of just like the ADA guidelines for how to be a person who follows the law. So the people who do this, it's kind of up to the people who are organizing the events, and then for the people who approve the events, they're the ones who are like the last line of defense to ensure that these standards are being met in case somebody was slacking and didn't, check. Does that sound correct? Mm-hmm. Yes? Yes? Okay. Anybody else? Can I get a motion to end? We're very close to ending.
Motion to end the moderated comments, or Q&A.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of ending the Q&A?
Aye.
Let's try that again. All those in favor of ending this Q&A?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, this Q&A is now over. Island, thank you for your wonderful presentation. You may have a seat. It's coffee. That's so nice. And next up, Senator Fadlallah. Whoa, I did not mean to click that. You didn't see that. We have the South Asian. I'm sorry, there's a cursor in the way and I can't read the rest of it.
Okay, well, I'm introducing the South Asian MELA funding bill, and I have Tospi here to tell you more about it.
Yeah, you get to come stand in the front too if you're presenting. All right. And as soon as she's up there, you guys are good to talk about it.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Tasfia. I am the co-president of VASHA, which is the Bangladeshi American Student Association. And I'm also going to be speaking on behalf of SASH, the South Asian Students at Hopkins, and PSA, the Pakistani Student Association. And we all came up with this South Asian MELA bill for our events. And for the event in general, the word MELA in many South Asian languages means fair or festival. And to kind of get the importance of an event like this, I'd like you all to think about and reflect on your own knowledge of South Asia and its culture. And if you're not South Asian, it probably equates to maybe certain dishes you see at restaurants you frequent. Or maybe you have a South Asian friend and you've learned a little bit from them. Or maybe even you've been to a South Asian event at Hopkins during your time here and you've resonated or picked up something from that as well. Well, the reality is that South Asia makes up 1/4 of the entire world population, but the broader community barely knows anything about it other than like stereotypes or popular dishes like butter chicken and samosas. I promise it's like, there's so much more than that, you know? And and like stereotypes like these and popularized dishes, things like that, especially by Western audiences, it really diminishes other groups in South Asia as well. So like countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, they barely get any representation and awareness as a result. And so the South Asian groups that do have formed student groups at Hopkins, Basha, SASH, and PSA, we came together to sort of discuss what is the way that we can include all South Asian identity. And we came time and time again to the idea of a Mela. And a Mela is really a festival and a celebration. So we wanted to bring sort of a celebration of South Asian culture to Hopkins, which has never been done before. And for this event, we're gonna have booths for each of the countries that are part of South Asia, as well as the different activities from each country that really represents the culture there. And the biggest part of the Mela will be food, because food is so integral to any culture, really. And so we believe it'll show both the similarities and the nuances between all the countries in South Asia. And so for the bill specifically, we have budgeted items for the activities and the materials we need for that, as well as materials we need for general booth decorations, lighting, setup, stuff like that. And we also have a miscellaneous category because there's a lot of students on campus that aren't represented by student work. There is no Nepali Student Association, there's no Maldives Student Association, or anything like that. So we've also gotten representatives from those countries who are willing to have a booth and spread their culture as well, and have a say in the process of planning this event. And our biggest budgeted items are food, which is like, it is so expensive to get food in general, and food is like the forefront of our Mela in general. So that's why we have a lot of money allotted for food. And in terms, do I talk about like funding so far? Like what we have?
Like what you, like in the conference?
Yeah. Okay, so.
Oh, you can.
Okay, so so Basha and PSA actually have no funding, so we're kind of, yeah. So SASH, we have $500 allocated for this event for them. And then for the other costs, we, based on SASH events in the past and attendance and ticket sales in the past, we've decided that we will have ticketing for the food. It'll still be like $4 to $7 based on which package you want to get. And this should be enough to cover, because we expect at least 300 people to buy these tickets based on SASH events that have happened in the past. And with that, and including the $500 from the SASH fund, we should be hitting around $1,800 to $1,900, which covers around half of what we need for the Mela itself. Yeah.
Okay, is that the end of your presentation? Okay, cool. I know, I still have to ask. All right, I would recommend moving into a long moderated caucus. Go ahead.
Motion for, I was going to say Q&A.
Or
Motion
that.
for a 10-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times.
Okay, give me 1 second to prep.
Second.
Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor of entering a 10-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, we're now in a 10-minute Q&A with 1 minute speaking times. Give me 1 second to write everyone's names, and then we will actually start. Also, I'm just talking a lot today. I see Shalala, Mufasa, and Galhart. Now you're up here by yourself, scary.
Also Sophie.
And then Sophie, and then Brandon. You can be added after this point, it's just really hectic for me to keep time into that. Anybody else off the top of their head wants to be added? No? Okay, so 1 minute speaking times. Give me 1 second. My phone timer is not enduring this. Okay, go ahead.
I really like this event idea. It sounds great. I was wondering if you guys have filled out an event request for money as well, because I know that that's our official way of giving funding to big events, and I wanted to know if there was something preventing that, because usually that would be the first step before SGA funding.
Okay, wait, I'll answer that. The event requests haven't opened yet, so they couldn't ask. They haven't opened for the semester.
I feel like that's a separate issue that SGA should also work on at some point then, in the future.
If it could be yield to Kaya to answer on the
I'll
other
yield
question.
to Kaya.
So I've been asking Calvin, because I don't open up a specific category, so they could have emailed me and asked me about the upcoming event, but instead that the bill was just created like that.
Got it.
Okay.
Would it be possible to also to get funding through Dean Student Life through that?
That's not something that I'm aware of, but we could always ask. You have 3 seconds left.
I'll give the rest of my time.
Okay, you have 0 seconds left. Oh wow, okay. I have a timer. I have a lot of questions. I'm just gonna rapid fire them for this 1 minute. Don't be overwhelmed. Some of them are less important than others. So my biggest concern is the money issue. I think this is a really cool event. This is like the Latin Student Fair that LA helped put on, and they did ask us for some money, but mostly it was either fundraised, made through ticket sales, or came out of event requests, or came out of group funds for particular clubs that are involved. Because if you guys are including $500 and then we are paying almost $4,000, that seems a little bit imbalanced. Not that I don't think this event should happen. So you said do you have an estimated number of attendees based on prior events, and then how are you planning on advertising this event? I'm going to yield my time to you.
So that's actually, we estimate that we'll make with ticket sales and including the stash funding half of that. So
Would we get any of that money back? Because if we're providing $4,000 and then let's say you make $2,000, would you guys be keeping $2,000 or would you get reimbursed?
You'd get reimbursed.
Okay, the process for that is different. I don't know what it is, but if we're getting money back, the transferring of funds is a little funky. We've got like 10 seconds, so I'm going to yield to Kaya, Nas, and then Kaya.
I just wanted to be added to the speakers list.
Oh, okay, I'll yield to Kaya. Do you have an answer on how that would work if we co-sponsored and then got money back? Because that's only if your ticket sales hit the number you're expecting. So it's difficult for us to promise like $4,000 saying that you're going to give us $2,000, because that's how clubs end up in debt. Good.
Yeah, so, okay, well, typically with fundraisers, it goes to charities. Fundraisers don't usually go back to what? Well, unless it's like a ticket sale for a formal, but this is a very interesting case. So I don't know if I can answer that. That's
okay.
Point of information on
Yes.
behalf of student boards. Aren't we requiring people to fundraise on behalf of their club this semester in order to get an annual allocation?
Correct. The fundraisers don't have to be like $4,000 worth.
Point of information, it's not like really enforceable. I talked to Calvin, I mean, it just wasn't advertised well, so.
Yeah, that's kind of, that we put that in the rules and it will start being heavily enforced coming up in this year. But back to the point, because I have like literally 2 seconds left. I would recommend that before we pass this bill, we meet with the people in lead, such as Calvin and people who deal with finances, because I think there's a better solution than taking $4,000 of SGA funds and then waiting on ticket sales. I think we could still have this event going with close to the same amount of money, but pull it from different sources. But I don't have the specifics, so I'm going to, our advisor's not here, so I can't yield to him, but normally I yield to him now, but we'll talk about that. My time is up. I have more questions. I'm putting myself back on the list. Shalala.
I use my time.
Mufasa.
No, yeah, basically I think this would be much more of a finance committee thing, that, because we can definitely talk about this if, or some other. I'm not even sure. So, yeah, I think we could actually, yeah, just repeating it. we can fund at least some of this. And I'm just a little concerned because Event Request has opened up, so that's more of our advisor situation than it is us. So I think you would be best fit with us, with you guys going through finance committee.
This would be a perfect thing for an event request, and it is not under our power to fix the fact that the event requests aren't open. So apologies for that, but we might be able to expedite it due to that issue, which is an advisor question, not an us question. Are you done with Mufasa?
Yep, I yield my
Okay. We have Dalmer.
Yeah, I just had a couple random questions. So I think it is like a lot of money in comparison to a lot of things that we co-sponsor. But I don't think that's necessarily an issue because it seems like it reaches a large audience, which I think if we just expect that there's at least like 300 to 500 attendees, that's valid. I was just wondering, like, where exactly did the Sakun pricing come from? Because like I'm looking online and like there's like the stuff that's on there like doesn't exist. And I'm just curious where that came from.
Yeah, so we actually went to all the vendors ourselves and asked for prices.
If you guys could include documentation.
Yeah, when you submit the event request once they open, we're gonna have to have like quotes from certain vendors.
Yeah, we can for sure get that.
Yeah.
That was all I know my mind.
Okay, and then we have Sophie.
I was just gonna ask, do you guys have an idea of like where on campus you want this event to be?
Yeah, so we already have Gilman Quad booked for March 11th. And then if it rains, it's going to be in Glass Pass.
Okay, great. I'll leave to,
Could you guys include that in the bill? I did not see it in there. I saw the date and the time, but I was also wondering for the location.
Yeah.
So whatever, if it does come back to us, that would be a good thing. Thank you for asking that, Sophie. Brendan.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question, Sophie, but the other question I had was, are we planning on having this event be like a yearly tradition? Is that what we're trying to do? And then if so, how much of the materials are like reusable and could be used for further years?
So most of the, actually all of the materials except for the food would be reusable. And I think they are, because I'm leaving, but future leadership is planning on making it a yearly thing. And it's something that we would include in our like semesterly allocations for the next.
So this would be like a one-time sponsorship since the event requests weren't open?
Yeah.
Sounds like, okay. Nas.
So I guess the only question I have is this going to be the only big event that you do this semester, or are you going to be doing other things? Because I know Ramadan is coming up, like Eid is coming up, those are also big cultural events in South Asia. So is this going to encompass those kinds of things since it's going to be right before, or are you going to be doing another event after that you would need funding for as well?
No, this is going to be like the only big event across BSA, SASH, and Basha.
Okay, and then it's me. So my one thing is the bottom here, it says that it has passed and it has not. So before you bring that back, which I guess that's directed to you, just it hasn't quite passed yet. And then could we also get totals for each category if this bill comes back for second reading? It's a little bit, because like I'm saying like, oh, $18, that's a great price. And then it's like at the bottom, all of a sudden 4,000. So I feel like that would help us visualize it a little bit more. And then tables and chairs, you can usually get through event services if you book a space. So you also wouldn't, if it's renting, you have to get permits sometimes for people to be able to drive their trucks on the campus and unload, especially event services really want you to use their tables and chairs. So I would look into that. And then what is a Quran board? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's like this, it's like a square game, right? And it's kind of like pool, but with your hands. Like you flick, it's like pool.
Yeah, in the picture it looked like this big, and I was like, $300
No, it's
for a little square?
Point of information, it's literally just like a board that you put like baby powder on, and you like flick the pieces and try to knock other people's pieces. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Cool, good to know. And have you guys had any prior events of this size to justify what your estimates are?
SASH has.
Okay.
Not Basha or PSA.
Okay. It's cool, good to know. Then we have Jackson, and then our time is going to expire pretty soon.
Yeah. I was going to go kind of with Brandon's question. Do you guys have any ideas for how you're going to store a lot of the stuff that you're using for this event? Because I know that sometimes there's things that get lost, and sometimes it's really easy to hold an event again if you can keep everything for this one. We have space in Levering. I don't know if SASH or any other organizations being represented by this event do have storage already, but that might make it easier to again, use the Karen boards or anything else that's non-disposable?
Yeah, so we would have to look into that, but we do have some like storage for Basha. I can't really speak to Sash, but they probably do because they usually host like formals and stuff like that as well.
Okay, I believe that concludes the time that we have for our Q&A. This is first reading, so we don't have to vote on this. I will talk to after about getting in touch with advisors and that kind of thing. So if anybody, well, it's expired, so you don't have to motion for anything. It's just done. If somebody wants to motion for a new one, you're welcome to. But it expired like 30 seconds ago. I didn't want to interrupt. This felt important. Okay. Cool. You're good to have a seat. Thank you for presenting. This is really different. This isn't really done really different, right? Okay. And that brings us to the Hopkins Got Talent status PowerPoint. Give me 1 second to find that. It's this one. No, it's not that
It's
one.
not up there. It was just newly added.
That's a great question. Points of information for where this got added. I think the PowerPoint presentation should be under non-legislative and the bill should be here, but it's fine for now because we're already doing it.
Too closely tied together.
That's a-okay. I'm having difficulty opening it. I can't full screen because it messes up the recording, so sorry. You guys just kind of have to look at it like this. Okay. You don't worry about it. It's okay. They all have it. Okay. Yeah, feel free to make your way to the front.
I can provide some context for this
Yeah,
the
go for it.
assembly to start. So in the spirit of, I guess, encouraging our artists on campus, as you all know, we had our multimedia art competition, which was more so focused on visual, like, I guess, still artists, people who can submit art of that form, and we had some wonderful responses. The Hopkins Got Talent is more so oriented around our performing artists. We have a lot of them on campus too. And so this was, I think Ashish presented to y'all in the fall, but this is now as we're closing in on, like as we're approaching the date of the event, this is more so like a near final, or it's like a later draft of the plan. It's accompanied by a funding bill that's in first reading, but everything in there is an estimate. We will have more information on the exact amounts before it's passed to the Finance Committee prior to second reading. So right now what you see in the bill is just a rough approximation, and it is first reading. So yeah, that's all.
Take it away.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Ashish. I was here, as Ryan said, last semester to kind of present this, but as he was saying also, since we have a lot more of those logistics planned out, I thought that I could give you guys some updates and kind of give some kind of information on where we're headed to. So next slide, please.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so event overview. So the event's going to be on March 10th, and I was able to get a space at Shriver for this event, and it's usually pretty hard to get spaces at Shriver, so we're really lucky to have this day. And we chose this day too because it's kind of away from spring break, away from garden party and all of that. And it's not too close to finals, so we thought that more people would be available to perform. And like Ryan said, it's kind of catering to a lot of the performers on campus and a lot of the artists, because we have dance teams, we have vocal groups, and we have individual performers who also would like to showcase their talent. So it's kind of for them. So the first action item would be the interest form. So we would ideally get to release this tomorrow, but I know that for an event like this, we'd have to get approved first. So as soon as it gets approved, I already have a teaser email gauge interest on it. And this interest form would also include not just people interested in it, but it would be more specific, getting to the performance type, information on who you are or the group that you're participating in, the dates that you're available for auditioning, and a short description of your act. And then once you get all those interest groups filled out, it would probably be a Hopkins group form. Next slide, please. We can organize auditions, and auditions would be February 18th and 19th. And I know this seems pretty rushed, but there is enough space to giving people about more than a week to submit interest in whether or not they want to perform. And then auditions would be 2 days. It would be a Saturday and a Sunday. And I don't have spaces reserved for that yet. I'm still waiting for it to get approved among you guys. But for auditions, I was hoping that we can appoint a panel of people, judges hopefully from SGA, to kind of choose 10 to 12 acts to perform on for the real thing. And I guess we choose based on interest, how many people there are, and whether or not we have to see if like auditions are even needed. And if they are, then we like choose a panel. And we can do either virtual or in-person auditions depending on whether or not we have a space for that. So after that, we'd have rehearsals obviously, and we would notify people too. I have that on a later slide, but for rehearsals, it would be March 4th and 5th, which would be like the weekend before the actual show date. And for rehearsals, we notify the selected acts like beforehand and give them logistics about like when to perform, like I guess how long the act can be and things like that. So budget breakdown, that's the next slide. So like Ryan mentioned, I don't have the exact budget like finalized, but I've been in contact with the people who I guess operate AV support and operate rentals for Shriver, and they were kind of asking for the budget code and stuff, so that's why I thought like it would be good to present now, so that once that we can like finalize whether or not it's okay, I can go ahead with her, and she can give me more details about how much it would cost, and I can give you like a very detailed budget by like next meeting maybe. So decorations though, like would be I guess $300 to $500. We would have cash and merch prices. That's another $500 because it also gives people an incentive to perform. And like miscellaneous stuff like custodial services, chairs, tables, if not scheduled through event scheduling and services, would be $200. And I detail this a little more in the bill first reading thing. Okay, next slide. So if you're interested in being a judge, I kind of wanted to like outline what that commitment would look like. So the first thing would be like the audition stage. It would require like maybe like 6 hours of time, 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday, of watching all the people who want to perform and working with the other judges. Maybe it could be like a ranking system where I could give you like a form with like different criteria like creativity, effort, quality, organization, originality, things like that, and you could rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. And then I guess the actually the best numerical score is the top 10 ones can get to perform, or you guys can as a group can discuss it and talk about it. So it's kind of more of up to you guys, but I feel like it'd be cool for you guys to get to see these different acts and like kind of like narrow down the criteria. And on the day of the show too, it would require like watching all the acts and like ranking the top 5. So it'd be I guess the same judges or the same panelists, but it would be cool to like have that big role in the entire thing as well. And lastly, I wanted to go over the advertising plan as well. So as I mentioned, like we would first have to announce the event with the audition form, and honestly at this point, it would be like ASAP, so we can get that out. And I guess approval is the first step for me to getting there. And I can write the email, but I was hoping that SGA-CMC could make an Instagram post and maybe post on your socials, because that would give us a lot of publicity. And then on February 16th, we can email interested acts to coordinate the audition once the interest form closes. Then after auditions itself, we can email accepted acts on the 20th, and then email them about rehearsal dates on the 25th. The actual show would be on the 10th, but between this time, there would be a lot of advertising, including regular posts, flyers, more Instagram posts, reposts, things like that. And it would be a lot of advertising for student body. And I can take care of a lot of this. I guess the biggest thing I need from you guys is approval, like information on budget, so I can coordinate that with Shriver people, and like anyone that's interested in being a judge would be super nice as well. So yeah, that's my
Concludes presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any motions?
Motion for a 5-minute. I motion for a 5-minute Q&A with 30 seconds.
Motion.
Oh, I'm recognizing the motion on the floor. Do we have any seconds for the motion on the floor? All right. All those in favor of a 5-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? We're now on a 5-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times. Thank you. First on the floor is Elisa, and then we got Aisha, and then Sophie, Shalala. We're gonna run out of time already. I got Sophie, I got Shalala, Mufasa. Yeah, Jenny's next. I saw you, I just didn't write you yet. And then Stone. We're at 4 minutes. I can take 2 more people. No? That's all? Okay. Let me set up my cute little timer. Okay. Setting up to 30 seconds. Sorry. Okay. Elisa, go ahead.
Okay, love the idea. Phenomenal. 10 out of 10. As far as running the show from behind the scenes, do you have plans for a crew? Do you have plans for somebody who's gonna like manage your stage? I yield my time.
Yeah, okay, so that's definitely a really good point. Outside of the judges, I haven't really thought about that much yet, but it would be good to have a crew. Maybe more Senate or SGA volunteers would be nice. I haven't really, that's the big thing, is like I wasn't sure if we should ask outside people in student body to volunteer to help with these things, or if we should keep it to SGA. So that's something that we can talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it might be worth asking everybody else, just attaching that to the
interest form
advertisement. But as far as stage managing, I'm happy to help you. I have experience.
Okay, time is up. Next person on the list is Aisha. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is just an idea, but like as soon as you said Got Talent, I thought of like America's Got Talent and how they have like video of like the auditions and how they have like people like speaking and like, my name is blah blah and I'm from Texas and I blah blah, you know, and like we can't have bad auditions. But you know, I think it would be interesting to like videotape the whole thing and kind of like I don't know how high like the production value could be, but I think it'd be really cool for like showing it next year too.
Hi, my name is Sally. I'm from Texas, and I'm auditioning with the song.
You can go ahead and respond.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really good idea. I feel like even like before like acts come out on stage, like if you can play it for everyone, because I have like recording and streaming capability too with Shriver. Like that would be really cool, like as an intro to everything. So that's a good idea.
We also have a videographer with CMC. Okay, we're supposed to.
Could there be a golden buzzer?
Okay. Next person on the list, Sophie.
Just a few things. One is, do you have like an MC planned? And then two, I also have experience like organizing like a talent show kind of thing, so I can definitely help you with that. But my question really is for like the MC.
No, I haven't thought about the MC either, like someone to run the show. But what else? I would also be interested in doing that myself too. But like that's
He went, that job's already assigned.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up we have Shalala. Go ahead.
How do I apply to be judge?
Second. Okay, hands down. Yield your time. How do you apply to be a judge?
Oh, do anyone raise your hands if like interested in
If I'm not performing.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I'm sorry, I'm a senior.
Seniors get
Okay, guys, order in the courtroom floor.
Please.
Okay, if you guys are interested, message, we'll drop your email and then we will have them send you an email. Does that work?
That works perfect.
Okay. Wow.
Maybe
Perfect.
email qualifications too.
And also email your qualifications. Yeah, I'll put more information in the announcements if you want to stick around to the end. Mufasa.
Oh, I was actually just gonna motion to extend the.
You can do that.
Wait, was it a Q&A or?
It's a Q&A.
Oh yeah, Q&A by 5 minutes.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of extending the Q&A by 5 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We have more time. Thank you. Jenny.
I'm not sure if SGA has like the same like funding like rules as like SAP, but like I'm pretty sure we have fund like cash prizes.
Okay. Okay, then if you can maybe switch it to just like Hopkins merch or like plushies, then we can probably do that.
Oh, but they said.
Wait, okay.
You can fund Barnes and Noble's gift card.
Oh, so Barnes and Noble's gift cards.
We can hash out the details later. You can talk to finance about that. Wow, I love this timer. It's so nice. Stone, go ahead.
Yeah, so I already told Ryan earlier about this, but the date is actually the same day as the freshman formal, and it's the same day. So if possible, we find out.
It just got spicy.
Guys, yield your time. You can yield to either, and it looks like Ryan has an answer.
You might have.
Wait, sorry, just to clarify, when you said he told me earlier, it was like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Not like.
Ryan goes, I need to defend myself from these accusations.
Like this isn't like an intentional. Okay. But yeah, we'll. I mean, we can potentially look at time. I don't know how Shriver tends to be pretty strict, but.
What time do you guys have booked?
It's part of.
We have it booked from 5 to 11 that night.
5 to 11.
Yeah. No, well, like we don't need it for like that long. I just
Well,
like
you have
kept
to set up.
for
Yeah,
like
okay.
decorations and like cleanup.
Okay, so you guys get to figure that out. Cool. I'm next.
Yield to.
The BB thingy expired. You don't have any more time. Sorry, guys. I'm really bad at holding onto this job. Okay, my time's starting. So as you guys might know, we already had a Hopkins Got Talent in fall, or you might not know because it completely flopped. So I'm worried this will be another flop, not through any needs of your own, just because sometimes students are really bad at engaging with stuff. And as somebody in a performing group, if I found out about this, say tomorrow, and then had 10 days to get an audition ready, I would not, because I only have one practice in the next 10 days scheduled. So I would recommend pushing the timeline later or condensing auditions and rehearsals. So maybe have auditions be Friday, Saturday, and rehearsal be Sunday. Some situation like that, especially since you don't already have a space. I would give my time to see how you feel about that. How do you feel about that?
Okay, no, I feel great about that. And also, like, I low-key just put in a date, because I thought this is the best day, and then she said yes on the first try, so I feel like there might be more availability for Shriver, and we can definitely try to push it. So, yeah.
That's funny. Okay, cool. So the dates are flexible is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Jackson!
I was gonna say one thing is you could move the freshman acts to the beginning. We could do we could have like acts that have a lot of freshmen in them at the beginning so that they can still go to the formal. But also I think that I think in response to like an earlier comment, I did really like the idea of having the audition tapes. I would wonder if there might be like the Hub or whoever writes like those other like big Hopkins articles that likes to do profiles on students. They might actually like to sponsor something like this because this is a great way to show a bunch of students and what they're passionate about.
That's true.
I yield the rest of my time to you.
Was the other talent show on the...
It was across a whole lot of campuses, and they did a really bad job advertising.
Yeah, I think that's probably why. I think if you like keep it to like Homewood, it might be better. And that's the idea of the tapes and everything.
Would you yield to me really quickly?
Yeah, you.
Have you guys looked into getting co-sponsorship from like the Alumni Association or other big groups that like doing things?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
But
well,
I can do that. Yeah.
Another idea for money. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Next person, Olukemi, go.
Yes, I was gonna say, I love the idea. I was gonna say, first of all, depending on the amount of acts, you could get like a dance team for the intermissions, so that would work. And Jackson said that you could put the freshmen first, but I think the freshmen are one of the most active on campus right now because we're on campus. And if you advertise correctly and like, you know, have like some type of guest performance everyone to see, I think the freshmen would be the most, like the better audience, the better part of the audience with the laughs and everything.
Okay.
Especially because we are used to Shriver for entertainment. So I would really suggest to move the date if you can. I know it's hard.
It seems like there's a lot of vibes for push the date back, but not too far because, yeah, there's finals and spring fair and other events. Maybe a week. Next weekend. Next person on the list is Aisha Jackson. I saw you.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, like, for advertisement, I think it'd be cool, like, in addition to, like do the tapes, like, right after you get the audition, and then you can, like, cut it together, and so people can, like, kind of have an idea of who's gonna be performing, so that people will be more interested in coming, and they can support their friends that are auditioning, and, like, y'all know, like, the short audition clips that you watch over and over again from America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, and you can, like, if one of the acts agrees, you could like fake like a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like
get some drama.
Right. Get some drama. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, time is up. Next person is Shalala. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask if you could get like those golden tickets. I don't know, like they say American Idol or something, but I don't know how that would work in this situation because like judges would deliberate. But I was also wondering, like for the stage, like will you need like AV, like tech support, like people moving the lights and all that? Like you still have that also?
Is that included in
like,
it?
yeah,
that's
hire
included.
someone or use the students?
Yeah. So I'm coordinating with the AV tech people for Shriver, and they gave us like the budget for that. It's $80 an hour at a base rate, and then it's like you have extras on that for other equipment.
Wait, run it back. You said $80 an hour?
For the AV, yeah.
For the AV.
Yeah. Okay, next we have Jackson, and then we have Mufasa. Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, so just like as a logistical thing, have you guys started reaching out to groups that you think might be interested in this and kind of just like getting them ready to possibly audition for this?
Well, yeah, so I'm on a dance team, and like I talked about it with like my caps, and they were very interested. But I didn't want to like spread too much about the word just because we haven't got official approval yet from you guys. But as soon as like you guys are okay with it, then like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Got it. And then second idea was T-shirt cannon. You know, hey, make the audience want to come.
Yeah.
Third idea was, would it be possible to maybe like solicit like a few judges from the undergrad body itself, and maybe have like something where like people can be a judge? Because I think that maybe some people like in the general student body would be really passionate about doing this type of thing, and might be good to just make sure that it's not just SGA judging.
Okay, Mufasa.
So this is kind of short, but you guys already do you have MC included to that? So someone who's going to be like,
That was
who
asked
represent-
earlier.
Oh, okay, good. I was
All
just
good.
basing on that.
Um, Okay, my question was, I know Dalhart has a funding bill coming up for the 360 camera. That could be a cool thing to have there. Ideas, I'm combining things together. And then in addition, I also strongly recommend you push the date back to give, one, it won't overlap with freshman formal. Two, it'll give people more time to hear about it, more time to plan with their groups, and more time to audition. And it'll also let us source a videographer, because like if we're doing the little audition tapes, it's gonna have to be high quality, you know. But I think this is a really good idea. We always talk about like school spirit and community post-COVID, and this is a perfect example of that. Do we have anybody else? Otherwise, we can motion to end. And this kind of stuff that we're talking about, these smaller questions, logistical stuff about like the golden buzzer and that, can be brought, and we can talk about this in small groups outside. All right, can I get a motion to end? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of ending the Q&A, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Any abstain? The Q&A is now over. Hey, who said the motion to end? You were somewhere over here and I didn't hear your voice well. It was easy. Cool. All right. Moving on to the Hopkins Got Talent. You get to stand back up here. Ashish. You got another thing.
The bill, the second. Oh, the bill.
I'm assuming the bill is just what we already heard.
Bill's not passing if I'm not in the
Oh, wow, nice. Okay, go ahead. You can do this shortly.
Yeah.
You already told us this.
Yeah. So this is.
No, I just had something to add.
Okay. So yeah, this is the bill for the Hopkins Got Talent event, and so I include some more about the funding over here, as you can see. It includes kind of like what I outlined in the PowerPoint, like the Shriver Hall rental and the AV support, decorations, cash merch prices, miscellaneous, but I can take out the cash prizes and make them more Barnes & Noble's gift cards based. Yeah, that's pretty much it, in addition to everything discussed in the PowerPoint. But I hope to have more of a concrete plan for you guys next time, and kind of like taking all of these different insights and put it together. So, yeah, thanks.
Could we get a motion for a Q&A or moderated caucus? Because Kobe has something he wants to say, but
he can motion to address the Senate.
He's not on the phone. He texted me.
You can motion to address the Senate on his behalf.
It's like a question towards him. I feel like it would be better if we did it too. Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of what Mufasa just said, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstain? All right, we're now in the Q&A. Mufasa, would you like to yield your time, or do you have something you'd like to say?
Yield my time to brief.
Okay. So Kobe also says that they have their IAC is hosting an Asian Cultural Expo, which is like Lanyun, the Lion Dance Group, etc. And they are interested. Kobe is possibly interested in combining events, so having the Cultural Expo be like a feature of the Hopkins Got Talent. And their date is April 1st and 2nd, which I think is the weekend after the one that you have, which works with the pushback date.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And I was also wondering personally, $500 for some star cutouts seems like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So where is that number coming from roughly?
Trophies.
It's like trophies, banners, etc.
Shriver
But
is huge, so I wasn't sure how many.
it's also, there's rules on decorating in Shriver. Like you can't
Yeah,
hack because of the sound stuff.
The orchestra
So,
show.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would talk to you about decorations after.
Okay.
Dalhart, would you like to be added?
Hours?
Huh? It was 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You were ready to go. Okay. Dalhart, and then I have Jenny. Dalhart, go ahead.
I was just gonna say in a very similar way, a couple of my friends, people in my fraternity, we were gonna try to do like an SGA collab, like acapella competition between acapella groups. I think that'd be a great avenue to like bring a lot of people in.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You guys should do
A riff-off?
No, it wasn't necessarily a riff off, but it was like going to be an acapella kind of competition. Riff off would be crazy. I don't know how feasible that would be, but
Okay, moving on. Guys, order. I don't have a gavel, so I'm just yelling. Jenny.
I know this is in second reading, but I feel like we should just table it. This is not a Q&A.
This is in first reading.
Oh, I thought it was.
Isn't it in first reading? Okay, you scared me there for a second.
Sorry.
Yes, this is in first reading.
Oh, okay.
We would be arguing a lot more over the price if it was
Well, I
second.
was just like, I think there's a lot of things that we haven't exactly
Yeah,
out yet, and this is probably
We'll
not
come
really
back with more.
reflective.
You're also meeting with the finance committee.
Yeah.
to
Meeting
and everything.
everyone like literally on like tomorrow. So,
Start looking high.
Okay, anybody else want to be added? Otherwise, can I get a motion to end?
Motion to end.
Second.
Motion to end, you have to say the whole thing.
Motion
To end the Q&A.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of ending the Q&A, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Gavel. We are now out of the Q&A. Moving on to our last bill of the night. It's on second reading. Wow, you guys are ready for this to be the last one. Yes.
Wait, before we close, a lot of you expressed an interest in being part of like the planning committee. If you're interested, just like shoot something via Teams, and I can connect you directly with Ashish, and then he'll share more from there.
And if you're interested in being a judge, include your qualifications in that message to Ryan. Make Ryan be the judge of you being a judge. My qualifications, I'm judgy. Anyway, the liaison program bill is now in second reading. Jackson, if you'd like to make your way to the front. Also, this room is way easier to make your way to the front in, which I'm happy about.
Trip over and
This bill is already up, so I don't even need to do that. Okay, go ahead. Your time starts.
So I presented this last week. There wasn't very many comments then. So, and nothing has changed. So yeah, again, this is a bill to basically just give student services more of a concrete mission and initiative, as well as to make it so that multi-year projects are a lot more likely, because there will be a continuous flow of basically information and connections with admin that don't need to be reestablished every year. And I open the floor to motions.
I open the floor to motions. Anybody? For example, a motion to vote is a good motion.
Motion to vote on the bill.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of moving into voting procedure, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Gavel. We are now in voting procedure. All those in favor of passing this bill as it currently stands, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Everybody applaud. We passed the bill. Allegedly passed bill. Okay, do not start packing up yet. We're going through prospective legislation and announcements. I had something in the beginning and I was really excited about it, and then I forgot it. So I gotta say Happy Blue Jay Tuesday. I gotta say I don't know where our advisors are. Apologies about that. I don't know why they're not here. If anybody needs to get in contact with an advisor and has not been able to, I have some of their phone numbers if it's a really emergent situation. Otherwise, keep emailing them. CC me on the emails, etc. Guys, please keep your focus here. We are not quite done yet. Does anyone else have any prospective legislation or announcements that they would like to share? Wow, this is like the first time. It's just me. Okay, you're good? Do we have any motions on the floor?
Motion in the meeting.
Can I get a second? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Beautiful. Senior class council, you get to have a little meeting in the corner with me. Ryan class council, you also get to have a meeting in the corner with me. Everyone meets in the corner with me.
Sophomores, we have a meeting.
That's you. Sophomore class council comes up to me also. Sophomore and seniors come talk to me.
Send me an email. We got it covered.
Yeah, I know. I just have to make it. I have to. Give me 1 second.
Oh, but we have
Yeah. I know. That's what I'm talking about. Seniors, come here. Sophomores, come here. Juniors and freshmen, you're free to go. Good job. Everyone stand up to class council. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why.
How are we gonna go about this?
It's okay. It's the exact same thing. We just take 2. Yeah, we just take 2.
I know, I was saying that we announced it, so we just not.
Jeff and Ziggy! Where did Ziggy go?
Whose headphone is this?
Jeff!
I have no idea what that means. That's cute.
Math is art.
Okay, great.
Go on.
Make your way. Did Ziggy already?
Thank you. I will try and make the group chat now after this.
Alright, I'll and Jeff, y'all can do it. Yeah.
We're meeting Saturday, right? On Saturday.
Okay, yeah, I'll send the credit.
We're going to Friday night is.
So he's officially resigned, which means that
Do you mean
guys get
on
some-
Thursday?